My name is Andy Gilley. I'm the Parks Director for the City of Hendersonville. Welcome to the Memorial Park, where today we have the honor and privilege of dedicating the Drakes Creek Bridge to our dear friends and Hendersonville residents, the Oak Ridge Boys. There's several of us in the community that have been working for a long time to try to figure out the best way to honor these guys. I told somebody this morning, not only do they deserve it, they've earned it, and there is a little bit of a difference in that. Everywhere they go, they tell people they're from Hendersonville, Tennessee. For a long, long time, they've done that. And to have a bridge named after them, to me and to all of us, I believe is the perfect thing, because their music and their careers have bridged people together for many, many, many years. They have worked with people who have produced hundreds of hits to producers that have produced hundreds of hits that are 50 years apart. They have worked with everybody in the community for years, and anytime the community has called, they have been there for us. Today, we're glad to be there for them to honor the tradition and the history that makes up the Oak Ridge Boys. We have a lot of people here. I'm not even going to try to attempt to name everybody that's here. Just know that you are appreciated, and I know the Oak Ridge Boys appreciate you all being here. I do have a few people to thank specifically. Mr. David Owen is here. Mr. Owen and his family have been responsible for many upgrades in our parks over the past few years with their generosity. He asked for no credit. He does things behind the scenes. He's the only man I know that doesn't have a cell phone or check email. And I don't know how he's gotten away with it, but I admire him for it. But his generosity has enabled us to install these signs for the Oaks. And Mr. Owen, we greatly appreciate you and your family, what you mean to this community. Miss Pascal, Kathy Pascal, is here from beautiful Hendersonville. She's done a great job the last couple of years of helping beautify our city. Her team last year took a project on to clean up and paint the bridge that we are naming today for the Oak Ridge Boys. It looks beautiful, and we thank you and your team for that. Give those folks that work for the city and the state a round of applause, please. Several members of our board of mayor and aldermen are here. Without their support, we would not be able to do things like this or have weeks like this week, when we're going to have a great event later in the week at Pig Fest, where the Oaks are going to get to sing at home for the first time in a long, long time. I know everybody here has already probably got a ticket, but if you have not, pigfesttn.com. You can get a ticket for Friday night. Alderman Don Ward, I know I saw you here. I'm specifically pointing you out because your help and expertise in designing and knowing what we need to do is greatly appreciated. We also want to thank Jocelyn and Sons Sign Company. I don't think they're here today, but they were instrumental in the production and installation of those signs and this beautiful plaque that you see that will be installed on the bridge. And last but not least, we want to thank the Oak Ridge Boys. Thank you for always going on stage and saying Hendersonville was your home. When you're interviewed in magazines or newspapers or TV shows, you always made a point to say Hendersonville is your home, and today is our gift back to you guys. So thank you. You know, the Oak Ridge Boys, if we have a screen over here, you're going to see a few pictures real quick. They, from all the way from the Grammy times in the early days, look at that. That haircut, those hairstyles have come back. You know, then we moved on to the Elvira days. They were selling out football stadiums, but before Morgan Wallen was even able to sell one ticket anywhere, the Oaks taught people how to sell out football stadiums and arenas. And then, more recent times, you saw these guys walking down the road or at Kroger or anywhere, at church. These are the guys that lived here 50, 60 years. Dwayne Allen, William Lee Golden, Richard Sturbin, and Joe Bonsall. These guys called Hendersonville home, and we're proud of them for being here. Personally, for me, they were my heroes. The first concert I ever went to see, I was 5 years old, and it was at a football stadium at Beach High School because they were helping raise money for the football field at Beach High School that now has a new football field that I'm glad they didn't have to help pay for that one. But, you know, for me, also in college, that young skinny guy in the hat right there at Happy Hollow one summer got called up on stage to sing with the Oak Ridge Boys. And we had a Southern Gospel quartet in college, and from that right there, I think we got about 300 church gigs that kept me from having to get a real summer job. So I appreciate that very much. These guys are heroes to all. There's no doubt. In the music industry and beyond, and I can't say enough about what you mean to our community. But there are some people that do want to say some things. And the first one of those is our mayor, Jamie Clary. Please make him welcome.
Thank you for everybody being here, especially the Oaks. Really appreciate it. Boy, we could not have better ambassadors for Hendersonville, the Oak Ridge Boys. There's just no way that we could ask for something better than that. And as Andy mentioned, that when they did shows, and I saw them at shows, and they reminded people they weren't from Tennessee, they weren't from Nashville, they were from Hendersonville. And that was wonderful to hear, especially when I was far away and saw them. But they also recorded a song, the only song I know of that mentions Hendersonville. They recorded a song in 1983 called Down in Hendersonville. It was never released, but they did it to help the chamber membership back then. The only song I know that actually literally mentions Hendersonville. But that's the kind of things they did. They also helped the 100 Plus Club back in the 1980s raise money. The 100 Plus Club was an organization back then that helped raise money to provide benefits to our first responders, to our fire and police. And they did that by putting on a softball game. So they and their crew, on a regular basis, almost every summer, they took on some of the police and some of the firefighters. That became a really big deal in Hendersonville. But it also allowed the 100 Club and then the 100 Plus Club to raise money it really what it was to raise insurance to help some of the families of our fire and police officers. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be Hendersonville with the Oaks without tour buses coming through here. They were the reason that when I was growing up, I saw a lot of tour buses, and still they all live right here. And I love the fact that we have tour buses coming by to see the houses of the Oak Ridge Boys. But like I said, they also told fans about living in Hendersonville. Now, some of you all may not know this, but when the Oak Ridge Boys started, it was a rotation of people that came in and were part of the Oak Ridge Boys. That's the way it started. And when they got to these four guys, they decided this is what we want to be. This is the group that we want to be. I really think what happened was all four of them moved to Hendersonville, and they just made it a prerequisite. If you want to be in the Oak Ridge Boys, you had to live in Hendersonville. So I appreciate that very, very much. But we're going to get to see this sign pretty soon. And having mentioned right here how many times they recognized Hendersonville, now we have the opportunity to recognize the Oak Ridge Boys. And I can't think of a more fitting way to do that. I appreciate you all very, very much. Appreciate what you've been doing to Hendersonville, and look forward to what you're going to do for Hendersonville in the future. Thank you all very much.
Marty Stewart always used to say if he saw the Oak Ridge Boys bus over there on New Shackle, he knew all was right with the world if it was out touring. I think that's still the case. Next we have our county mayor, John Isabel. He's also a Beach High School graduate, so he has a personal connection to what the Oaks mean to our community. We'd like for him to say a few words.
You know, I tell you, today, for me, it's an honor. It's an honor to stand before you and to recognize these men whose legacy moved far beyond music. Like Andy, I remember the concert at Beach High School where I was a student and graduated from Beach High School and just so enjoyed that. And then also the softball tournaments that they held to support our police department. They did that over the years, and it was just such a neat thing. You know, the legacy that they leave here is far beyond music. It's the bridge that they built throughout our community. It's the bridge that they built through the legacy of the music and through the traditions that they brought to not only Hendersonville, but to the nation. And they really were pioneers in the music field, from their gospel roots all the way to the pop, Elvira. I mean, just the music has such a legacy in this community. And like Andy said, and like the mayor said, that everywhere you went, we knew, and everybody in America knew, that the Oak Ridge Boys was from Hendersonville, Tennessee. And that is it's just so unique because, you know, we had musicians, and Hendersonville is known for musicians. But I challenge you to find a musician or a group of musicians that gave so much to the community. And that's the legacy they leave, is their contributions to our community and to the music they have. So this small token that Hendersonville has given back to you surely does not measure up to what you've given us. But we thank you. We thank you for the legacy you live. We thank you for who you are. And we thank you for the music that will go for generations. Thank you.
We have a former mayor of Hendersonville, Scott Foster, is here. He told me he didn't want to speak, and he's right back there in the back. But I do want to recognize him for being here. And I know the Oaks know this because y'all know Scott personally. There is not a greater champion for the Oak Ridge Boys than Mayor Foster was and is. So appreciate you being here. Some things that people may not know is that I know our mayor and our executive office get calls about paving on Gallatin Road and when are you going to pave it? Well, lucky for them, it's a state road. So when we went to name a bridge on a state road, that had to go to the state legislature. And we have some of those representatives here. Representative Johnny Garrett is here, going to say a few words on behalf of the 45th District, which is where this sign resides. I think I saw Representative William Lamberth, who had to vote on this. Representative Slater, I believe, is here too. These guys had to carry legislation to the state legislature to get it voted on to name this bridge. And then Governor Lee had to sign it. So I thought it was only appropriate that these guys came up here and said a few words about not only what does the Oaks mean to the city, the county, but the state of Tennessee.
Well, my, what a wonderful honor that we have on behalf of Representative Lamberth, Representative Slater, and State Senator Farrell Hale. I'm Johnny Garrett. You are actually in the fighting 45th District where you sit and where this bridge, so aptly named for the Oak Ridge Boys, will stand for lifetimes to come. And how appropriate it is, guys, to name something after you all that's a bridge, right? A bridge is a connection. A bridge is a connection from communities to communities. And in your world, a bridge is connections for this community to the world of music that you all have been a part of for more than 50 years. And that is an absolute amazing feat that you all have been able to have that type of impact from Hendersonville, Tennessee, all the way to the White House in DC for the music that people have enjoyed, for your legacy. So how appropriate it is for us to have a small hand in naming a bridge, honoring their legacy to Hendersonville, to Sumner County, to Tennessee, to this nation, and to the world, for the Oak Ridge Boys to have that type of impact across a community. We are so excited, so honored to name this bridge that will connect all those communities for your career as a symbol of what you all have been able to create by your music. I'm just so honored to be here. I got to meet them today for the very first time, so I'm pretty wigged out about that. I've seen you many, many times, but I was so excited to shake your hand and just know the legacy that you all have right here. And that's just a small token of what we can do to honor your legacy as the Oak Ridge Boys. Thank you so very much for letting us have just a small part of this ceremony in honoring you. And I know that William Lambert wants to say a few words, but again, my gratitude to you, my honor, our honor to be here. Thank you all very much for this opportunity. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Johnny. Well, look, this is a somber occasion and a happy occasion, but I want to tell you a quick story on how this almost didn't happen, okay, guys? So in the music industry, I'm sure everything always goes off without a hitch, right? All of your concerts have all been perfect. Every audition, every rehearsal, everything's always been perfect, right? That's exactly how it happens downtown, I promise y'all. Obviously, that's not the reality we live in. I've been a huge Oak Ridge Boys fan my entire life, just like everybody else here. Literally my entire life. I mean, you've been on my radio. And so we take the Oak Ridge Boys kind of personal here in Hendersonville and in Sumner County. Y'all are our guys. So on the House floor, whenever they want to rename a bridge, they make sure that everybody from that county is on board with it. And so they went to Johnny, and the mayor called him, and everything was good. And they went to William, and they went to Farrell over in the Senate, and everybody was fine with it. Well, when the message got to me that they were naming a bridge after the Oak Ridge Boys in Nashville, I got ticked off. And I said, what on God's green earth are you talking about naming a bridge after the Oak Ridge Boys in Nashville? Those are Hendersonville boys. If you're going to name a bridge after them, it better daggum well be in Hendersonville. And I about threw a fit. This is a true story. I'm dead serious. Well, somehow or another, obviously, someone had gotten the message wrong and getting it to me. And we're on the House floor, and the mayor of Nashville called me and said, for God's sakes, it's Jamie Clary in Hendersonville that wants to name a bridge after the Oak Ridge Boys in Hendersonville. Please support it. And I said, well, yeah, in that case, I'm on board. Count me in. So anyways, guys, y'all mean a lot to us here, and we do take it personal that we honor y'all and the way you've honored all of us over the years as being phenomenal ambassadors to Hendersonville and to Sumner County. And the most, I guess, the best compliment anybody can give anybody is long before your funeral to say good stuff about you, right? So I'm just glad everybody's got up here today and bragged on y'all, because you've spent your whole lives bragging on all of us and telling stories through your wonderful music about our community. So thank you very much. Thank y'all for being here.
Well, thank goodness that happened, right? And after these guys voted on it, this man up here that's on this screen had to sign off on it.
Hey guys, Governor Lee here. For over 50 years, the Oak Ridge Boys have lifted people up with timeless hits.
Fine video. The next guy, who you kind of just did see for just a second, also sends his regrets for not being able to be here. He really, truly did want to be able to come. But for George W. Bush to send a video to congratulate the Oak Ridge Boys, most of you all here know the connection between the Bush family and the Oak Ridge Boys, and vice versa, and it goes way back.
Hendersonville, Tennessee, and to our longtime family friends, the Oak Ridge Boys.
President George W. Bush. At this time, I can think of no better speaker than to have Dwayne, Richard, and William Lee come up and say a few words.
It's certainly a special honor for me to be here today. As I said earlier in my remarks, there's no greater honor than to be honored by your hometown. And that's what we're doing here today, and it's certainly a pleasure to be here. As many of you know, I've had a challenging 6 or 8 months that I've been battling a terrible disease here, and many of you have mentioned concerns, and your concerns really, I thank you for that. But more than your concerns, many of you said that you're praying for me, and I certainly appreciate that. Those prayers, along with some of the best doctors here in Tennessee, I find myself standing here today, and certainly an honor to be here. Every time we drive over this bridge here now, I think we're going to be reminded that Hendersonville is truly a very, very special place. It's an honor once again for me to be here. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you for all the distinguished gentlemen here. The nice things you said today. And we're honored to be here, honored for this great tribute to the Oak Ridge Boys. I moved here actually 60 years ago. In 1965, I moved 3 little boys and a wife at the time here. And I raised them boys here. There were 2, 4, and 6 when we moved here. Chris is here today. He was the one that was 2 years old when he moved here. But yeah, it's been a great place to be home. And for us to have a bridge here on the Johnny Cash Parkway, that's about as good as it could get for us, because we still honor Johnny Cash. And we were at the Country Music Hall of Fame Sunday night when June Carter Cash was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's a great week for us, and to have this honored on the Oak Ridge Boys, I'm deeply honored and touched. Thank you so much. God bless.
The first trip I made into Hendersonville, Tennessee, I realized there were less than 500 people that lived in this little town. And the first 2 days I came in to rehearse, just around where Woody's used to be, just before that, I got a ticket both days. And the second guy that arrested me said, "I think you need to slow down a little bit." Well, I did slow down. And I slowed down for over 50 years and never got another ticket until I had a wreck. And you ought to know this, I ran into a police cruiser. Nobody was hurt. We'd come in from a long trip. I was probably halfway awake, but I didn't see the car. So they were very nice to me. If you saw me trying to walk a straight line out there on Saundersville Road, you'll know that that's what I ran into, that cruiser. I couldn't see him. The Oak Ridge Boys have been building bridges since I've been here. They were building bridges since before I came. And William Lee and I have been here. We're celebrating 6 decades of working together. And Richard came with us in 1972, so he's celebrating 53 years here. And our tenor singer is Joe Bonzel, who passed away last year, and he had ALS. He sang until he couldn't sing anymore, and his wife wanted to be here very much, but she is ill and stayed at home. But their daughter Sabrina is here. Would you give them a nice hand? We're still singing. We've cut down quite a bit on the amount of dates that we work, but I look around in this crowd and I see a producer who has produced records on us. I see a gentleman who has set stages for us of lighting and sound all over the United States. They're our neighbors. They're our friends. I see our families all represented here. Years ago, I built a studio in the basement of my house, and then I moved down to Rockland Road area, built a studio there in 1970. It's probably one of the longest running studios still going. Ricky Skaggs and Sharon White own that studio today, and it's still going, 55 years ago. We've built our businesses here. Some of our side businesses that we've built are all a part of the Hendersonville community. And we're still going, we're still out there. We enjoy coming home. This town has always been known for the great schools. We have a lot of churches on every corner in this town. We also have a great hospital. We have subsidiaries of hospitals here in our town now, other than the main one that we have. We love coming home. When I moved to Hendersonville and bought my first house, I was on the south side of town. And then a young man bought that house from me and married my daughter. So all of my grandkids have been born in that same house that my 2 kids have been born in. I moved north of town to get a little further out of town, and I was in the county. That street's still in the county. It and one more street out there But around me is about 1,000 new homes that are built all the way around. I love my neighborhood. I love all of the growth that has happened here. You don't have to go to Rivergate to get anything anymore. You can get it right here. You can get a new car. You can get just about all your paycheck spent right here in Hendersonville. You don't have to go anywhere. Thank you for this great honor. Mr. Owen, I want to thank you for what you've done in the parks. If you people have not been down to the baseball areas where they play ball down there, listen, that's world class right here in Hendersonville. I used to go down there with Sonny Osborne and sit on the side, and we would talk all the time and never watch baseball, but we would go to the high school baseball games and watch baseball. That was our excuse. The real reason we came is because we just wanted to visit with the people in the community. That's the type of community that I live in. That's the type of community I told Williams and Ree about a comedy act up in Minnesota. And they were opening a show for us, and they asked, what should we do to get our name out? And I said, you should move to the Nashville area. They moved next door to Richard. And then we helped them get a television show. They had Cooking and Comedy with Florence Henderson on the Nashville network. So there's a lot of people here that are in groups that I could start to recognize, but I'll just tell you this, we all love Hendersonville. Thank you for this wonderful honor. It is a bridge that we keep building to get us to where we want to go. Thank you very much for this honor.
We're going to now dedicate this plaque that will hang on the bridge, as you can see on the screen. Beautiful plaque that has these words: the Oak Ridge Boys have sold over 41 million records and garnered countless country and Grammy Country Music Association, Academy of Country Music, and Gospel Music Association Dove Awards. Among other accolades, the group, consisting of Dwayne Allen, Joe Bonzel, William Lee Golden, and Richard Sturban, from 1973 to 2025, in 2023 was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and in 2015 the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Phones are not good, I can't read. They became members of the Grand Ole Opry in 2011. The Oaks' big production, arena-filling stage shows, and high-energy vocal harmonies, and their smash pop country song, Elvira, among many other hits, earned them generations of fans. Known and loved internationally and across the United States and abroad, Dwayne, Joe, William Lee, Richard, and their families are proud to have made Hendersonville their home for more than 50 years. This plaque will hang on the bridge, and then the bridge itself has these two signs on either side. It's beautiful. We've heard all the speakers. We've heard from the Oak Ridge Boys. The last thing we want to do is say a little prayer of dedication to the bridge and to the Oaks. If you would remove your caps. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us gather here today. Thank you for the Oak Ridge Boys and what they mean to our community. We ask that your hand of protection go over them as they travel the country. We ask that you continue to be with Joe Bonzel's family as they continue to remember him on a daily basis, and we remember Joe for what he meant to the group and to our community. We ask that your hand of healing continue to work with Richard. And we thank you for everything that these men and their families have dedicated to our city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Amen. That concludes our ceremony.